Hello there. Just get the microphone a bit closer. So, we all know what one of these is, I hope. Double cassette deck from probably the early 90s. I've had it for maybe 20 years, so wasn't new when I bought it. Hardly ever use it. Only times I've used it recently, well, not very recently, is to copy tapes into a digital format, mainly for other people. And I don't generally use cassettes anymore. Anything of any value to me I've copied to digital years ago. But I thought I'd try it out a few weeks ago, and the right hand deck, which is the record and play, the left is just play, that was doing all sorts of nasty things, misbehaving. Trying to cut a long story short, because it wasn't a short story. It took me many hours to find out what was wrong with this deck. It was chewing tapes up, it was making horrible noises, the usual rubbish. Nothing to do with the cleaning of the pinch rollers, capstans. I always keep everything like that clean. I thought maybe belts, check the belts, they're all fairly good. Changed the belts 10 years ago roughly, maybe 15. So after many hours of taking the deck apart, and it is somewhat a nightmare taking one of those apart, as you may know if you've tried it. There's an infinite number of cogs, levers, springs, cams and numerous other bits inside one of these, and how they ever designed it is totally beyond me. In the end, after much frustration, I looked at the left hand deck, which is fine, from above, and the right hand deck, and I compared what was going on between them, and I could see this lever jumping up and down that appeared to be to do with a cam. I thought, that doesn't look right, so I took it apart again, and what happened was the lever, bit of plastic with a peg on it, which should be on the outside of a cam, somehow it got onto the inside of the cam where there was a gap, and that screwed the whole thing up. But that took me a long time to find that. It's only by comparing the left deck to the right one that I worked it out. Thus, the shortest story, after a very long repair that took quite some time. But trying it again, I noticed, playing tapes, on this deck, this one was fine, more or less. I was getting a slight warble, about once a second, barely noticeable, enough to be irritating though. And I suspected maybe the pinch rollers, and they all look fairly rough, because it's a two direction deck, they both are. They've got a total of 4 pinch rollers and capstans, and I can try and demonstrate this. It's more noticeable on a tone, and what I did was I recorded a 1 kHz tone on this deck, then played it on this one. So initially the warble was on the front direction, as it calls it, but now it's on the back direction because I swapped the pinch rollers over. Let's try it anyway. Okay, I can hear that, about once a second. It's got a slight speed variation, and anyway, got that deck out, have a look at the pinch rollers. Sure enough, one of them had a bulge on it. Thought about sanding it down, but they all look pretty rough, all the pinch rollers. So I confirmed the problem because it was originally on this direction. Let me turn it around. Well, that sounds reasonable. Hasn't got that once a second warble, if that's the right word, which it probably isn't. So that's what I did. I swapped the pinch rollers to confirm it wasn't something else. So then the quest began of trying to find new pinch rollers. I don't want to spend a lot of money on it. Let's get this bit out, take this front off, take the cassette out. I don't know if we can see inside this with it very well, but maybe in that way, maybe in that way. Okay, maybe we can just about see in there if I find something to point at. Sony are very good. Service manual's got loads of useful information in there, exploded diagrams, whatever, and parts numbers for every part in it. So this pinch roller assembly I did locate using the part, googling the part number for the pinch roller assembly, which includes a spring and a carrier. I could get one of those for 10 quid. And to do the whole thing would have been 40. I wasn't going to do that. So I then went on another massively long quest on eBay. And couldn't exactly find that one. But I found these. Let me take one out. China, it amazes me, has an infinite number of pinch rollers, it seems, in production. So here we have one. I'm almost certain it's the right diameter, 13mm, but this distance back to front is, I think, a slightly smaller than the ones that are in there. But I'm hoping that won't matter too much, because what's the tape width? 6 point something millimeters, quarter of an inch, isn't it? So, it's close, isn't it? Close to 6 on that. Maybe it's not quarter of an inch tape. Let's have a look at this tape. Okay, it's 4. Okay, so it might be alright. And by the way, this is a really rubbish tape. I wouldn't normally use something like this, but it got into my possession somehow. It's called the best kept secret, whatever that means. But it's good enough to record a 1 kHz tone. Whenever I did any recording in the past, I always used high quality metal tapes. And this has also got Dolby S on it. Dolby S on it. I always like to use Dolby noise reduction. So where was I? So I think really I've got to try and take this thing apart yet again. It's been apart so many times for the original fix. I could have done a video on that, but it just got so long and drawn out without any hope of resolution, possibly. So what I'm going to do now is take it all apart. I'm not going to bore you with all that because the video will just get too long. And take the front panel. You have to take the whole front panel off, which involves disconnecting loads of ribbon cables and whatever. But you know, I'm an expert at it now. I've done it so many times. I could probably do it in 5 minutes. So I'll go on ahead and get the front panel off. Forgot to mention, these pinch rollers from China I got 5 for £5. Can't say fairer than that, can you? And they seem reasonable quality as well. Fairly fast delivery as well, probably just over 10 days. Anyway, let's get it apart. This is what it looks like inside, and all these ribbon cables have got to come out. In fact, it's better really to disconnect them at this end on the deck, and you don't have it flapping around in the breeze. I can plug that one back on the board. So there's a load of ribbon cables. There's a few cables also that go to the various things on the front. Okay, so that's the front panel off. Now there's 4 screws that hold the deck in. Take the left hand deck out first, as it's the faulty one. Don't know whether to do all the pinch rollers at once on both decks, or just on the one that's sounding rough, because if they don't fit or they're the wrong size, then I've got to go through all that crap again, haven't I? Going back to the original ones. Let's see how we get on anyway with the left hand deck first of all. Now what do we do next? We turn it over, and I think, oh yeah, that has to come out of the way. If you're very careful, you can do that with it. Why isn't it focusing? That's better. So you can shut that up now, and the actual pinch roller assembly comes out very easily. You just pull it. That's the dodgy one. There's the lump. You can just about see something there. It's a bit of a, oh, there's a bump there. That's not nice. Difficult to see, but let's have a compare them with the new one. Yeah, slightly smaller. Back to front. Don't think it's going to matter. The only other concern is the pin that goes through the middle. So let's put this to one side and see if I can get that out. They just push fit in. There's no easy way to do this really without cutting your fingers off. Did it before. Can't be that difficult. That's it, I think. No, that's it. Got that one. Plastic, you see, you've got to be really careful. Because it wouldn't take much to break that plastic. So that's the old pinch roller. Now, does the spindle fit the new one? It does. Perfect. Perfect fit. And that just pushes in. It's slightly more resistance than the old one. Wonder why that is then. I'm guessing, yeah, I'm guessing the plastic is actually wider, even though the rubber isn't. There's less rubber. Yeah, I can see that the white bit is actually wider. I have a feeling that won't matter, but it probably will. Oh dear. Let's put it back and see what it looks like. Because that one's really loose and this one is not anywhere near as loose. Okay. Ooh, it's a bit tight, that. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that, really. Do I really want to try and cut bits of plastic off? I might have to. File it. I'm going to file it. Sorry, didn't show you the filing. Too difficult. But now that spins really smoothly. Only a fraction of a millimetre needs to come off. Right, I'll go and do the other ones. Here's the second one. Let's just measure it. Exactly 8mm. That's the old one, and the new one is 8.3. So 0.3mm has got to be shaved off each one. I'll go on and do that. Okay, that deck is done. That's quite loose, so is that one. I think I'm just going to go ahead and do the other deck and just hope these new pinch rollers are going to be okay, because if I do another measurement, that is 7.2. That's the old one, and the new ones I think are 6 point something. Yeah, they're a lot less. 6.3. So there you go. Just gotta hope for the best. So this is the right hand deck, and doesn't look that bad, but I think it could be better. It's got fluff all over it as usual. Might as well take them both out. And they really are spinning nicely. Well, I don't think it matters if they're not really loose, because there's a fair bit of torque on the capstan. But we shall see anyway. I'll just go ahead and do the same thing again and put it all back together. Okay, that's the final one done. It goes back. How does it go? That's it. Amazing. Amazing how complicated these things are. When I was trying to find that other fault, the cam was down in here somewhere. Yeah, I can just about, down in there, there's a pin, sits on a cam, and that had gone inside somehow. It's a mystery how it would do that, because the tolerances are fairly tight in there. And that's it. Gotta go back in its box then, isn't it? Back in its whatever you call it. So I'll get back to you when I've done that. Right, it's all back together, apart from the covers on the doors. So let's try a nasty, horrible ferric type in it. Woolworths, the ultimate in quality. Because what I really need is a test tape, but they're very expensive and I'm not going to buy one of those. Moment of truth. So we go forwards. Sounds fairly good, because we don't know whether the original recording on the right deck was a good one or not, do we? Because of the imperfections in its pinch rollouts. Okay, enough of that rubbish. Let's turn it round. So my fear is that the pinch rollers would be too narrow, back to front. I've been unfounded, it seems. Sounds equally good to me, or equally bad, whatever way you want to look at it. I mean, I could do a frequency measurement on that deck, but what's the point? So I don't know how accurate the speed is on that one. Sounds near enough to 1 kilohertz to me anyway. Let's try this one, which is the record deck. We're doing forward, aren't we? I mean, it does sound a bit nasty, but it's always a tough test for a cassette, recording a tone. It really shows up, it's all the imperfections of recording on cassettes. You don't notice it so much on when you play music, but considering cassettes were only designed originally for dictation, they did a pretty good job over the years in improving the quality. So there you go. I'd say that's a success, because I never throw anything away. I'm going to keep the old rollers. No idea why, but who knows. I don't think there's much more to say about that. Do you want to do a frequency measurement? Okay, I'll do a frequency measurement. Okay, I have the counter connected up. What am I doing? This way. Let's go to the counter. As I said, I don't know how accurate the record deck was, but I mean, we're a little bit under, aren't we? 997, 998, 996. It's all a bit dodgy. It's a mechanical thing, isn't it? It's not going to be perfect. And generally, you probably are not going to notice too much of that. Interestingly, it's dropping slightly. Oh well. I need a test tape to do this, to a proper adjustment on the speed. I wonder what the other one measures. Okay, this is on the right hand deck, which the recording was made on. I think we're pretty within a hertz anyway, of 1 kilohertz. So that's enough of that nonsense. It's finished as far as I'm concerned. So once again, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you feel like it. Give me a thumbs up if you feel like it. Thanks for watching and bye for now.